All right, welcome back to the Transfer Talks podcast. It's your co-host Ashmit, with co-host Neil. Super special guest today, Caleb, who's a transfer from community college to Berkeley. So we'll be hearing his story today. So Neil, let's get it started.
Yeah. So we love to start these off by just letting the guests speak on their experiences in their own voice. So just tell us your story from where you started to where you are now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. So I'm from San Diego. I went to a community college called Miracosta. And now I go to UC Berkeley, as you guys said, for applied math. So originally in community college, I was actually majoring in computer science. But even before that, in high school, I applied as a business major. So in high school, I was like tri-varsity athlete. I started a nonprofit. I was like in all these clubs. Did really good in school. Was in, Key Club. I had like some school records and stuff for certain sports. And then, applying as a business major, I kind of thought like I was going to be good. I applied to all the UC schools except for UC Riverside and UC Merced, and I didn't get any UCs. I only the out of the state schools that I applied to, I only got into Cal State Long Beach for MIS or Management Information Systems. And at that point, I was like, why would I want to do that? Why do I why would I want to go there? And then so I was pretty disappointed. I was pretty bummed. So I decided to go to community college. And yeah, it kind of sucked seeing all my friends going off to the schools, and some of them I had like better GPAs than them, or I was helping them in class, and then seeing them get into the schools that I wanted to for the same major. Sometimes that kind of sucked.
Yeah.
But at community college, my high school soccer coach knew the Miracosta like soccer coach, and he asked me if I wanted to try out. I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't really think much of it, but then, going there, I feel like that really sets my experience apart from other people that were at community college. Like I had some friends that just hated it the whole way through, but I had a little built-in like group of people that I knew no from like the summer before I even started. So those 2 years, I was playing soccer there. We won conference for the first time in our school history, which was super, super cool. Um, and when I went to community college, I figured, if I'm not trying to get into any major, might as well study like whatever I want to now. And I kind of bounced around, but luckily all of the STEM majors kind of, you take a lot of the same prereqs. So, took some programming classes, took a lot of the physics and math classes that I had to, and then had a pretty good GPA. It wasn't crazy, actually. I only had like a 3.6. But at that point, I applied to some schools for math, some for computer science, some for math and computer science. Like I got into UCSD for math and CS. I applied to UCLA for math and econ. And I applied to Berkeley for math, and I ended up deciding on going to Berkeley for math because I thought that was the best fit for me, and just I was pretty stoked on it. And I wasn't expecting that at all. Like I had planned on just, getting into some schools for soccer and playing in college. Like I got into Colorado School of Mines for computer science, and I was gonna go play soccer out there. And I got into some schools like throughout California, and I was talking to some on the East Coast, and I was just set on playing college soccer. But then after getting into Berkeley, I decided that I'd hang up the cleats and just kind of focus on school and go to there.
That sounds awesome. I mean, we're both in the same we're in the same boat as you, this I just graduated last year, and seeing all my friends like you get into all these schools, but I didn't get into any of the schools. I only got into SC. That kind of also lit like a fire. But I wanted to kind of talk about your transition from business to math. I've seen this with a lot of my business friends. They're kind of understanding that they're kind of thinking that business might not be sustainable, especially with the future of AI and all this whatnot. They want to think about pursuing more of a STEM degree. What was what made you decide to kind of make that switch from business to an applied math and CS?
So a lot of it was the influence of my dad. So my dad was like a first generation, grew up with like a single mom. So when he went to school, he didn't really know what was going on. So he kind of just decided to go into business.
Hmm.
And he was telling me, he was like, dude, business, like you can kind of like figure it out. Like, obviously there's stuff that you can learn in school. He said, but why not do the hardest thing that you can and just put the number of candidates like in the pool that you're competing against? Like, why don't you just decrease that pool? Because if you're trying to do some business thing and everyone's a business major that's trying to do business stuff, and you're a CS or a math or EECS or economics or physics, that already puts you above like the whole like general pool and you're just competing against less people. And so just from like a competitive mindset, just like going, okay, I love this business stuff. I can figure out a way to incorporate it somehow, which I have. I've been joining some either like finance or like I'm in a club called Berkeley Venture Capital, which is obviously a very business oriented club, as well as Scholars of Finance. Again, another very business oriented thing as a math major. So that transition, at first it was a little strange, seeing like, okay, I'm having to take some classes that I would never have wanted to, like abstract algebra or numerical analysis or things like that, that I w wasn't even on the radar. But just having that, technical understanding, I feel like helps a lot if I was trying to go into some, like you were saying, AI, some CS, some AI, like oriented field, it's nice having some technical background.
Yeah, for sure. I think like it's something I've been learning too. Like, like you can pick up the concepts in business. Like I have friends at Haas who are like kind of like pursuing like double majors in like data science and whatnot because
Mhm.
the stuff you learn isn't like inherently like it's very intuitive and you can really pick it up easily. So I think, you know, um, definitely like making sure like you have a sort of technical background as well, I believe is like important as well. So like, but before that, going back to your time at community college, what were like some of your strengths and weaknesses? You mentioned that you were an athlete, but like aside from that, like what were you doing outside of the classroom to sort of like help your chances of getting into UCs?
Yeah, so I would say for anyone that's going to community college, just try to be as involved as possible. I know like a lot of my friends, they were pretty checked out. They were kind of just going to class and going home, which is, like I feel like pretty standard because, a lot of people are just commuting. You're not really hanging out there. And, fortunately slash unfortunately, I like really made friends my final semester. And I
Mhm.
really wish that I had made more academic friends because obviously I had my soccer ones that I had been hanging out with like more than my family. Um, but having some good academic friends is super, super nice. At the time of my UC applications, I was in the computer science club. I was just a general member. Outside of that, I mean, this doesn't really reflect on my UC application, but during my last semester, I was the social outreach lead in the computer science club. I was the director of networking in the engineering club, and I created my own club called STEM After School, where we partnered with a school district and we created curriculum and taught and STEM and programming lessons to elementary school kids. And that was something that was super neat. And then through the data science club, which I was also a part of, um, I was able to get a data analysis internship through there. And I feel like that was a super great experience. So I definitely tried to be super, super involved, just talking to and meeting as many people as I could, just in my general like English class as well as my programming classes as well as just, walking around campus, trying to go to just events, just trying to meet people, I think was the biggest thing to find
Great.
some
That's
doorways.
Yeah. No, definitely. I like agree with what you said. Like a lot of students, they just go to community college and then just go home right after. But I think it's really important to kind of try to like get involved with like different clubs, try to meet new people there, um, and like try to take advantage of opportunities that are presented at community college. I know there's a couple of like exclusive research programs just for CC students, like TTE for Berkeley, and then there's some other ones. I was wondering, did you take advantage of any of like the internship or like research opportunities for community college students?
So I applied to a lot of them. I actually did not. So yeah, a lot of my experience was outside of it. I happened to get my real estate license while I was in community college, while I was taking classes. And so I started working with a mortgage broker, and we created YouTube videos to teach people about, the process of buying a home in the state of California. And, I was working with realtors doing open houses as well as a lot of my time was really just dedicated to playing sports. Not unfortunately, but that definitely did take up like a lot of my time where I was coming into class late. Like I'd be missing class on Fridays or Thursdays, going out to like travel or coming in just like all like sweaty late into class. Um, I know like one of my roommates, Arda, who you guys interviewed, definitely was taking advantage of a lot of different research things, but I personally did not.
Got it. That's sounds really busy, like doing sports and all that. So I'm sure your like essays are like really unique because you had all these different experiences. So I'm wondering like how you kind of approached like writing the UC application.
Yeah, so I know in the UC application, like one of the things is like, why are you ready to transfer? Like, what have you kind of learned? And the biggest thing that I really just said was time management. So my second year in community college, I moved out and I was, living with some friends. And so at that point, I was, you know, it sounded really good in the essay. I was working two different jobs. I was, working at In and Out, and then I was also a soccer coach, as well as playing college soccer and in the computer science club. And, when I was writing my essays, I was taking like 17 and a half units. And then I also have my real estate license. So I was doing like three different jobs and college soccer and maintaining my grades. And the biggest thing that I just showed is that I was able to have good time management skills.
Mhm.
And so just showing that I was able to have all these like different things going because, when you're transferring and after you go into the real like world for your career, you're going to have to balance a lot of different, things in your life, family, personal, friends, your job. And so just I feel like me being able to showcase that I can take on a lot of work and that I can, balance a lot of different things all at the same time was I think my biggest strength going into that.
Yeah, and I'm sure they could see like they could like see the credibility through like your extracurriculars. You mentioned like all of that, and I think like having a very co like I think something I learned from talking to a lot of people on this podcast is that like admission officers can see stuff in your application that you necessarily won't see. Like something common to you might be like something like completely out of the blue and out of the like very niche to like an AO's eyes. So I think making sure that you like stay with one theme and you don't really like lie and like kind of like over like you can over exaggerate for sure, but like making sure like you stay in the realm of like reality. Um, is very important because they can kind of see like the connection between like your extracurricular list to like your essays. Um, so I definitely agree with that. I was wondering like how you approach like the writing process like in general. Like I meant you mentioned like one PIQ, but like did you kind of go through like drafts? Did you try to do like a little bit of each PIQ and then select like which ones you liked? How did you approach that sort of aspect?
Yeah, so out of all the PIQs, some of them really just didn't apply to me. And so when I was looking at them, I just kind of went, I can't really write anything super strong on them, because since I applied to UCs out of high school, I did have like some drafts. And because some of the stories were just, they're still in my life, I was able to, reutilize some of the base storyline. But I definitely had to do like a lot more drafts, make it a lot better. When I was like going over it, there was a lot of why did I put this? Like, this is horrible writing. Like, this doesn't really convey a good story. This isn't very compelling. And, a lot of the story things were just talking about one leadership, which I feel like is a really good characteristic to have, especially for me because I didn't have like a 4.0. I needed to have something else. It's like what else can I bring to the table if my 4.0 GPA isn't there? So then it's like, okay, well, I have some of these other things. I'm able to build things, create, lead a team. One of the leadership things that I talked about is I was able to fundraise $10,000 for like this is back in middle school for my soccer team to go play across the pond in England. So we were able to play some soccer in England for some kids. We're all in the same boat. Like we're struggling to raise some money, and we're able to do a ton of different fundraisers together, as well as I showed just different like aspects that I was able to be creative in. I published artwork in like a publication company, and then that I just kind of like happened to apply to, as well as, like I was saying, I had that nonprofit in high school that I was able to carry on into college, that I was able to partner with a real nonprofit in Africa and be able to donate soccer cleats and running shoes to kids who need it, and just kind of like showing one the resources that I was able to utilize and connect with, and also just like showing different aspects, some different strengths that like kind of what you're saying. The people that are reading the essays and going over the applications, sometimes they're seeing things that your grades or something that you might not just see right away. And I was really just trying to like showcase a lot of different um, things out there.
Dude,
Yeah.
that's great. No, I really liked how you like kind of went in depth of your experience with like kind of helping like people out and like you fundraising for soccer and your nonprofit. I think like a lot of people in high school, what they do is they just start a nonprofit just for the sake of putting it on their like essay, but they don't really actually care about it. But it seems like you actually like genuinely cared about like what you were doing, and that like really reflects on when an admission officer reads your file. So I think like for our viewers, like staying true to yourself and like being genuine on your application is really important. But like now that you're at Berkeley, you've transferred, like something that I'm thinking about is like I'm only gonna be there 2 years, and like my friend groups are most likely gonna be different from community college. So like how has the transition been for you?
It's kind of like cliche, but just like talk to as many people as you can, like going in. So at Berkeley, you have your orientation group. At Berkeley, it's called your GBO group or Golden Bear Orientation. Within my group, I actually met like a lot of really cool people that even if I wasn't necessarily friends with them, they happen to know someone else that I connected to. And then through that, I met someone else. And then it just kind of grows. Like within my own group, I had one guy that lived at a house with some friends that happened to have one house party in the beginning of the year. And from there, I met one guy who knew that I played soccer. And so he introduced me to all the guys on the Cal men's soccer team. And then from there, I met other guys on the other sports teams. And then like my neighbor happens to be like in some club. And so I think going in, for me, I was a little nervous, but luckily I have three roommates that we all transferred from the same community college. So I knew I had some like built-in friends. And so that kind of gave me the ability to kind of go out and explore because I knew that coming back home, I would have people that I was already friends with. And so just going to events, going to the football games, going to, some seminars or just being on campus or trying to join social clubs, not necessarily just like academic or professional ones, like, the running club or a church club or just some like the poker club, just a bunch of random things that have a lot of just shared similar interests of just a big variety of people. I think that definitely helps a lot. If you happen to play like any sports, even if you're not that good at it, just like going out to those areas, like like I was saying, I keep bringing it up, but I played soccer, so I just showed up at the soccer field, and that's how I met a ton of my friends there. And now I play on two intramural soccer teams with some guys. And then because a lot of international people like playing tennis and volleyball and soccer, when you're going to these things, you meet a ton of international students, and they're amazing because they know a ton of the international people, and so it kind of just helps you like just going out and being willing to talk to people um, is definitely something that you should really work on. I know definitely sometimes I don't want to talk to people and I just want to like stay in my house. But the benefit of going out and just meeting people and just going up, even if it's a little awkward, definitely amazing, worth it.
That's great. Dude, Neil was actually the soccer star for our high school.
Bro. Yeah,
Heck
I
yeah.
play a little bit, but um yeah, I liked how you talked about, using your friends as like anchors and whatnot to allow from community college, using them as anchors to sort of like branch out. I think me and Ashmit are definitely gonna be hitting up the soccer field to play. I know there's some really good rec teams at Berkeley. My friend was
Yeah.
talking about that, whatnot. But I actually have two questions for you. Um, you talked about like orientation and meeting new people. Did you go to like did you take classes at Berkeley? Like I know there's a pre-core thing for like business students. I don't know if it's for everyone where you can kind of go in the summer. So did you do that? And then also, um, you know, how is like Berkeley kind of like changed like you? Have you decided to like maybe pick something else up? Do you want to like maybe double major or anything? How's that changed?
Yeah, so when I saw that I was able to take summer classes at Berkeley, I decided to hold off. I ended up taking summer classes at my community college. I just took like another programming class because at community, we only learned Java. And I was like, I should probably learn some Python. So I just did like a little like Python one and then like an American cultures one. I did history of music, history of American music, just like some classes, get some technical background and then get some, gen eds out of the way. But I do know some people that took it and they really liked it. And it was a really good, smooth transition, to get to know if you're not from the Bay Area, to kind of get to know the area a little bit, kind of get used to the system of how Berkeley kind of works and the flow of it, which is definitely something that's super good. And then being here, because there's so many different people and you're just meeting a ton of people from so many different majors, that definitely has like affected a lot. As a math major, you're able to choose your own concentration. There's like pre-selected ones, you know, economics, data science, some engineering ones. But there's also ones that you can like build your own. So I'm probably going to be going into quantitative finance concentration. And then I talked to my counselor and I might be double majoring in economics. But, just seeing a lot of different people that are doing econ and data science, stats and data science, econ and stats, EECS and CS and data science, and all these different like combinations of majors, minors, and double majors, it kind of makes you go like, okay, if these people are doing this, like then maybe I can too. And um, it doesn't really seem that overwhelming. I mean, it is at sometimes, but for the most part, when you're seeing everyone else is kind of doing it, it doesn't seem that bad because if we're all studying 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 hours a day, it's okay because we're all doing it together. So it's definitely kind of like shifted my one career like trajectory as well as what I want to study and what classes I want to take. Which I think is super, super awesome because it's not just like a linear, like either straight line of like I'm starting and I'm just gonna like go and graduate. It's actually like constantly changing of okay, I'm reevaluating every single day, every week of, okay, how is this affecting what jobs I'm going to be applying to? How is this affecting like what I maybe want to do in the future? And kind of like you were saying, there's only 2 years, but if you double major or if you stay under the unit cap, you can stay an extra semester if you want, which I think I'm going to do just to utilize my time a little bit more, be able to learn a little bit more about Cal and network and get to know people and kind of figure out exactly what direction I want to go to a little bit more. And I think that's the great thing about this is you're able to take so many different classes and meet so many people that you're able to kind of shape a perfect, vision of what you kind of want to do.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. We're both really happy for you, and we want to thank you so much for coming on, Caleb, and kind of like, giving us your 2 cents on this whole transfer process. I know, like, going into it, like, we didn't have like as many resources to transfer at a higher level, specifically, and I think you definitely helped me, and hopefully some of our viewers kind of like think about like their transfer process a little bit differently and maybe approach things a little bit better. So thank you once again for coming on, Caleb.
Yeah, no problem. If I was to say like one more thing,
Hmm.
I didn't get into the dream school that I wanted to twice. It's Cal Poly SLO. Um, I mean, I'm going to Berkeley, so like I really can't complain. But wherever you're going to school, like I had some friends that like they had these like super crazy dream schools and they ended up wherever. Everyone that I know to, whatever school they're at, they love it. And so wherever you're going to school, you're gonna find it, you're gonna enjoy it, and that's exactly where you're supposed to be.
All right. Yeah. Thank you
Uh,
so much. Yeah, it makes
uh,
sense.
Thank you guys.
I appreciate it. This
Yeah.
Yeah,
was
no problem.
great, really insightful.